And thanks to Maureen and Jessica, Maureen Neatfield, Jessica Beecham principally, they've been putting these together, and they asked us if we would do a call about Randolph Sheppard. And as special guests on the call today, we have Brad Basta, who is the chairperson of the Committee of Blind Vendors in Colorado, as well as a highly successful food service operator. Brad, hello.
Hello, Mr. Kevin.
Hey, and then we also have, I'm really excited, we have Nikki Gakos. Nikki is the president of the National Association of Blind Merchants, a very successful Randolph Sheppard vendor and businessman in his own right in other areas as well. Nikki's been the president of NABM, which is a division of our National Federation of the Blind, and Nikki's been president for a decade, Nikki.
Yes, sir.
A decade. I was thinking about that, and Nikki's been president and started all kinds of interesting programs for a decade. Also with us is Jessica Beecham, and Jessica's first vice president of the National Federation of the Blind of Colorado, as well as, over a year now, Jessica also is advantaged by the opportunities that we get in the Business Enterprise Program. So those are our guests. What we want to do is we're going to try to kill two birds with one stone today, and we'll see how this works. There are two things we want to bring to folks, and we'll see some of this will be really germane to some of you and less so to others. And then there'll be a part of it really germane to some of you and less so for others. First, we've had interest in people wanting to know more about the Business Enterprise Program and Randolph Sheppard, what it is, if it could be an opportunity for them as a blind person, or maybe their child is a blind adult. And so we're going to go through a little bit of what the Randolph Sheppard is. And then if we have questions about how the Randolph Sheppard program and the blind operators, blind business people are coping with this current crisis, we'll go into some of that if there's a demand for that. So we didn't get together, the three of us and four of us, and talk about what we're going to do. Nikki, do you want to do a quick summary of what is Randolph Sheppard?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Hello, everyone, and thank you for being on the call, and thank you for inviting me to be on the call. It's always a pleasure to spend time with people in Colorado and throughout the country. For those that don't know, my email address is Colorado Cafe, Nikki, Colorado. I used to live in Colorado. I had restaurants up in Winter Park, lived there for 16 years in the late 70s and 80s. And now I am a blind entrepreneur in New Jersey. I run the largest post office in the United States, with first to bring in franchises with the Dunkin' Donuts in my post office. And also run some LA Fitness gyms, not at the present. All the gyms are closed. And also do some micro markets for Bank of New York Mellon, not at the present because they're closed too. But the post office is open and very busy. One quick thing with the virus thing type of thing, it's about 90% of our blind guys are out of work, but the 10% that are working are really busy and keeping in the forefront with the Postal Service, some rest areas, and of course some military dining facilities that are open. So last week during this virus, I heard a great thing about what crisis in China, in Chinese do things by symbols. And the two symbols that equal crisis are danger and opportunity. And I love that because of opportunity. And we're always talking about opportunity. Kevin and I worked very close together for many years, and we're partners and build relationships and build opportunities for people who are blind. And that's what I think of Randolph Sheppard. Randolph Sheppard has been a federal law that gives people who are blind the priority to operate food facilities or vending facilities, as called, on federal properties. And many other states have what they call mini Randolph Sheppard Act, which will give the priority to blind to operate on county and state buildings also. So for many years, this has been, unfortunately, through VR, people who will say, yeah, you want to own your own business. And for many years, it's been a dumping ground of where people go, yeah, we'll just let them train and let them fail a little bit or whatever. And at one time, we had 3,500 blind vendors when I first came in throughout the country, men and women. And now we're down to about 1,751 is the number that we have. But I don't look at it as a dumping ground. I look at it as a great opportunity and the greatest employment for people who are blind to get it and own their own and become an entrepreneur, really become a real entrepreneur. You have to go through the VR system, and you have to qualify. You have to be blind because it's a federal program, and you have to be a citizen of the United States because it's a federal program. And you also, in many states, have to have a high school diploma or a GED. Those are the requirements. You don't have to have any food service background, customer service background, but you really, really need that. We deal with what we also call now, it's not so much filling vending machines as it used to be for many years, but we call it convenience services now. Because when people are not home, where are they? They're at work. And when you're at work, and that's usually, well, not so much now again, but still, when you're at work, you're there for 8 hours a day, and who feeds you? That would be many of our blind entrepreneurs that feed you. And it's a tough, very tough business. The food service business, the convenience services business, or the customer service business, as I call it, is a very tough business. It's not made for everybody, but the good thing is those that it's made for, you can do a really good job. You can make a lot of money, and you can enjoy the work that you do. Many people say, well, could I go to college? I want to go to college. Well, you know what? I went to college, and I have a master's degree, like Kevin and other people in this program. But you know what? That makes us better blind entrepreneurs because we have that background. We have a business background. We know what this is a business. Randolph Sheppard is a business, and we need to look at it that way to make sure that you can own it. I look at it as a franchise opportunity, that you get a location, that you can look and say, wow, what can I do to this? How can I expand this? How can I make this better? And those that do very well. And those that don't, well, like restaurants and the failure of restaurants, won't make it. And then you go back to VR or whatever, but we have a very strong relationship in the merchants division throughout to do training, which is very important to make sure that you are qualified to do the work that you need to do. But we also want to set up mentoring programs. We want to make sure that our guys are well trained. It changes all the time. Now, what's the biggest thing now? Deliveries. All restaurants are doing deliveries or pickups. Well, maybe our guys have to do deliveries or pickups. Pam Schnurr, one of our board members, longtime federationist, runs a large cafeteria in Indianapolis. And the people that are there, and there's not many, but the people that are there need to, pick up their food and take it out and can eat, in the cafeteria. But that's adjustment, and that's part of business. So it came from the 3,500 blind vendors that we had when I came to the 1,751 we have now. The average salary is $60,000 a year throughout the country. The median salary is about $43,000. So there are some benefits that you can still collect Social Security disability, and there's some legal loopholes for people who are self-employed. So we look for people that want to come. But if you really want to get involved with something and you like customer service and you like dealing with people and you like service industry, think more about coming into Randolph Sheppard. We need good people. It is I will say this nicely, but it's an older program. The majority of the people throughout the country, that if you go through state to state like we do, the majority of the age is in the 60s and higher, sometimes late 50s. So if you're young and you think that this is something that you want to do, that you want to get up early, it's not easy again. You want to get up early. You need to get a staff. You need to come in. You need to work your location. You need to spend hours. You might have to run to places to pick up food afterwards. But if that's something that you love, and I love it, and I can tell you, and I know that Kevin loved it, and Jessica loves it, and Brad does a great job, and we all love it. And those that love it, it is the greatest employment for people who are blind that's ever been done. Not an easy job, but a fun job. We have a great mentoring system. We have a lot of things going on. We have started some great programs through the Blind Merchants Division, a women's initiative to get more women involved. We have an emerging leaders to look for younger blind people that want to be leaders in this industry and leaders in the Federation and the Merchants Division. We started an accessibility committee to work on accessibility of kiosks because self-checkout markets are becoming one of the hottest things for us. And you need to make sure that they are, accessible for the blind to use, and also for our guys to learn how to use the back end, to know how to do ordering and to help stock shelves and all that type of thing that's done with the kiosks. So a lot of things going on. I'll let some other people talk, and then I'll get back and we'll talk about what's going on now and some other things.
Okay, thanks, Nikki. To focus on Colorado for just a second, and I know there's some folks from other states. But what we do in Colorado is almost parallel with the way the other states work. There are some difference state to state. But let's just say you wanted to be an entrepreneur. You wanted to be a blind vendor in Colorado. We have a very robust program here. Up until a few years ago, our program would not be considered. Brad, I think you would agree that our program, actually, when I was chairman of the program, our program wasn't all that great. But now we're pretty robust. We have 25 operators in about 28 locations. Our median income in Colorado is about $61,000 a year. So is it worth going to your rehab counselor and say, hey, I'd like to investigate this Randolph Sheppard program? Is it worth meeting with our trainer, Ellie, to see if you have the aptitude and the qualifications? Is it worth taking the Hadley School for the Blind online training? I think it's 11, is it 11 modules or 13 modules? Something like that. Jessica would know, she just did it a year ago. Anyway, it's online, and that teaches your accounting and your bookkeeping and some safety and sanitation and about the Randolph Sheppard. And then we have a great trainer named Ellie in Colorado, and this is the best trainer we've ever had. She's been with us now, gosh, 2 to 3 years, and you do hands-on. You actually go and help manage a location, and you do the slicing of the tomatoes and the meat slicing and the packaging and the cashiering and the bookkeeping and the floor sweeping and the dishwashing and the vending machine filling and the kiosk programming and the ordering and the inventory control. You do all of that. Once you pass that training, you're accepted into the program. You get to bid on locations. If a location comes up, let's say I die tomorrow. Well, that location would come up available and operators could, quote, bid on the location. No money changes hand. We call it a bid, but it's a shorthand to say you make a presentation, you just got done with your training, you make a presentation, you do a business plan. If a committee of operators and the agency staff accepts your bid, then you get your first location. After 90 days of successful operation, you're licensed. And the license is important. The license gives you power because they can't just come and rip your license away and throw you out. There's an appeal process and all of that Joe Biden would say malarkey. All that malarkey comes along with it. When you get your first location in Colorado, and this is very much the same in other states, some little differences, you get your first inventory. You don't have to pay for it. You get a cash loan of somewhere between $1,000 and $2,500, depending on the size of the location. And you have to pay that back within a year. And you get all your equipment. And for all of that, you pay in Colorado 13% of your net profit. So when Nikki says it's like a franchise, it really is much like a franchise because you pay the 13% of your net, except in most franchises, you're actually paying on gross. But in Randolph Sheppard, it's better. You get a better deal because you're only paying 13% of your net profit before taxes. You're 13%, and that's how the program is run, with the dollars that you pay, and those dollars are matched with federal funds. And that's how we buy the equipment and do the training and a number of things. So that's, in a nutshell, how you would get into and operate a Randolph Sheppard location. Want to see if Brad has any comments about Colorado or anything he wants. Then I want to see if there are questions from the group about the program. Brad?
Thank you for this time, Kevin, inviting me on here. And I just want to add something to what Nikki said, and everything Nikki and Kevin said is right. And Nikki said it's a great opportunity. It absolutely is, but it's a very rewarding opportunity. I feel very rewarded that I get to get up every day and run my own business and, set my hours and hire my own staff, and I'm the man in charge. Everything that's good is because of me. Everything that's bad because of me. I take the goods with the bads, but I get to run my business and I get to see the reward and the happiness of when my customers are happy because they get great customer service, so they get great food, things like that make it. And it's very rewarding because it has allowed me to fulfill dreams and goals I have set for myself, being self-employed. So I just wanted to add that to Nikki. It is a very rewarding, very great program to get into. And if it's something you really want to do, I would highly encourage you to do so.
The other thing to point out is that it is, as Nikki said, it's the most successful employment program for the blind in history. We've also, the National Federation of the Blind, let's make no mistake, our program has been threatened by politics and policy over the years. There was a time, for example, in 1985 when the General Services Administration wanted to take all of our locations away and put Burger King and McDonald's. Well, who protected our program? I'll give you 3 guesses. The first 2 don't count. It would be the National Federation of the Blind and people like Dr. Jernigan and Dr. Maurer and James Gashel. And now we have a new generation of protectors, and that's all of us, all of you guys who help protect these programs for blind entrepreneurs. And right now that's Nikki Gakos, who's the president of our NABM, and Brad and Jessica and all of us in the Federation. So make no mistake about it, without the National Federation of the Blind, this program would be weak and perhaps non-existent. And I think that's an important thing to say. Nikki, did you have something else right here?
Yes, Kevin. Now,
yes, no?
Well, first of all, thank you for saying that too.
Do we want to,
oh.
Nikki, am I still hearable? I think I might have dropped away.
No, I hear you, Kev.
Yeah, you're good.
Kev, okay. Nikki, did you have something? Okay. Do we want to see if anybody wants in, Kev? Want to check see if anybody wants questions or commentary?
If you're on a dial-in phone, do *9 and it will raise your hand, or the more function on the app, there's a raise hand feature. If you have any questions, do the raise hand.
And Marianne, I heard Marianne, by the way, Marianne Magarelli comes from New York. It's hard for us Coloradoans to remember when she wasn't here, but she was a successful blind entrepreneur, and she moved to Colorado and kind of changed her career trajectory. But I noticed her voice on there, and I remember meeting Marianne at our very first BLAST conference that the merchants and the Federation Merchants sponsor an annual training conference. We started it in 2002 with 141 people, and I think if we hadn't been sidelined by Corona, I think, Nikki, you'd have had probably well over 700 people at this next BLAST. I don't have any doubt. It's really grown to be, one of the top-notch training conferences in the country for blind people. Anyone, Kev, that wants to chime in?
We got Hecker.
Nate!
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
We can. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, I just had a question. I just wanted to know when Brad or Kevin was planning on retiring so I could put a bid on their location.
Well, thank you for chiming in. Do you have anything serious to add to the equation?
No,
Okay,
that was pretty much my serious question.
Hold on, Kevin, let me answer that.
Uh-huh.
When you can pry it out of Marlene's hands, you can have my location.
Yeah. When you can pry it out of my cold, dead hand. Jessica? Thank you,
Kevin Worley always says that if he dies, that we're not supposed to report it to the state. We're just supposed to keep his body hidden and well preserved somewhere for a while. So
Yeah, that's exactly right. I do want folks to know that there are lots of different opportunities. In Colorado, we're blessed because the National Federation of the Blind went to the state legislature in 2016, and we got a law passed that it's not just food service and concessions and vending and micro markets and kiosks in Colorado. We, under our state licensing agency, now remember, the Vocational Rehabilitation Service Administration administers the program under our BLVS, Blindness, Low Vision Services. That's Krista Headland. She manages that. And under him is the manager of our business enterprise program. That's Dan Whalen. We have a whale of a staff, by the way, right now in our program. We're very lucky to have business consultants, a trainer, and management staff that do a great job collaborating with the blind entrepreneurs to shape the program. But in 2016, we got a law passed that actually enhances our Randolph Sheppard program, where we have a priority to bid on contracts that are not necessarily food service or vending or concessions. We can do janitorial, and we're looking for new opportunities. We do some janitorial on roadside rest areas and some ground maintenance, but we're looking for other opportunities so that if a contract came up in Colorado, let's say for motor pool management or paper shredding or whatever, we can develop those. I think we're the only state, by the way, that has made that adaptation to our program. And it hasn't brought great opportunities yet, but it will. Other questions or comments that my colleagues might have, Nikki, Brad, or the team on the
We've got Victoria's iPhone.
Victoria's iPhone.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Good. So for bidding on the locations, it's only within the state that you're in, right? You can't go to like a different state?
Kevin? Nikki, you on the phone?
Looks like we might have lost Nikki. Let's see. No, he's there. He's just muted. Hang on.
Okay.
Hey, Nikki. Sorry, you were
Oh,
muted.
thanks. I thought Kevin cut me off there. Kevin Ward. But that's it. So to answer your question, yes, I was going to bring that up, that there's 49 different programs in the United States. Each state has a different program. Even though it's a federal program, it's run differently in 49 states. But they're like Indiana right now has numerous locations that are available for people who are blind. And so you can look around, and because of the connections that the Merchants Division has built, we have 39 states that are part of a subscription program to join the Merchants, a division of the National Federation of the Blind, that states pay for technical assistance and training. And we know we have great connections in almost every state to tell you that if you said, I'd like to go to Indiana, I'd like to move to Florida, I'd like to go to Arizona, we can hook you up with one of our merchants down there, one of our leaders, and they can tell you about how the process works for training, how you can move into a state, where is there opportunities. So yes, your question is, can you move to other states? Yes. Can you have a license in 2 states? The answer is yes. We have a blind vendor who has a license in South Carolina and also Nevada and runs 2 facilities. So you can expand like that, and you can go to different states. You can't move your license from one state to another, but with the Hadley training that we're doing, it gives you a better possibility to move into another state that has opportunity.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Just 5 or 6 years ago, it was the other way around.
You're muted or something.
Yeah, you need it. Yeah. All right. It's not letting me unmute you, Kevin.
Will it now?
Yeah, there you are.
Okay,
There you go.
Thank you very much. I wanted to amplify what Nikki said. He's absolutely right. In Colorado a few years ago, there was nobody wanting in this program. I mean, we were running 6 or 7 locations, 5 or 6 of us were. Now it's the other way around. It's sort of like a pendulum. Now, because our program has gotten pretty solid, we have good staff, we've built some new opportunities. Now it's the other way around, and we've got 5 or 6 people waiting on a list to get into the program. If you want to stay in Colorado, wouldn't let that bother you much, because that happens all the time. You get 5 or 6 people on a waiting list to get into training. 4 of them drop out. They can't make it. They don't make it. You know, Jessica over here, you got in the program rather quickly, right?
Yes, absolutely. I did, and have had really fantastic opportunity, and think it's definitely worth anyone from Colorado or from anywhere else who thinks that this might be a great career opportunity to definitely explore. I think I decided to go into the program maybe October, November, and I think I started a January training class. Got done with all of my training by May, and got my first location in September. So it wasn't even quite a year from when I decided that I was interested in the program.
But I do urge people to look around. If you're willing to be mobile, you're a young person and you're like, I don't care where I live. I'm willing to live in California, or I'm willing to live in Alabama. Check all the programs. Some programs are more robust. Some have more stringent rules that you may not like. Some have different kinds of operations. So I do urge people to, if you're interested in this program, you can reach out to Nikki. He can put you in touch with or Brad. They can put you in touch with the state licensing agencies in other states. The National Federation of the Blind network is strong. So if you move to Virginia, if I moved to Virginia, I'd be in touch with Harold Wilson. Harold's a very successful blind entrepreneur. He's on the board of directors of the National Association of Blind Merchants. If I was moving to Illinois, there are people there. My good friend Ed Birmingham, who is, I think, first vice president of the National Association of Blind Merchants. So we can put you in touch with key players to help you understand programs in other states.
We got Marianne with a question here.
Hey, Marianne, we know you.
Marianne.
Marianne.
I think I believe I'm unmuted.
There you
Yep.
go.
I just
There you
wanted to
are.
check. First of all, hi to Nikki. I remember Nikki when Nikki was Nick. And I wasn't sure if the names had changed or how that was working. But yes, I was in the Randolph Sheppard program in New York for 12 years. I was on the Blind Vendors Committee for probably 11 of those years. And I was president of the New York Association of Blind Merchants for probably 7 or 8 years or something like that. Good long time. But I was going to ask what the process looks like. And Jessica, you said you started your class in like January. Was that your Hadley class, or was that the on-site?
That was Hadley training, and I did my Hadley training and probably could have even gotten into my hands-on a little bit sooner. For myself, I worked full-time while I did my training, and so I actually wasn't free to start hands-on training until May. So so I think probably I could have.
Other than the actual training as such, how many licensed, or I guess you can't call it licensed out here because there's still that 90 days, but how many trained blind vendors are out here now in Colorado that are waiting for placement?
Brad, I think we have one.
We have none right now.
None. Everybody's placed.
Oh,
That is
And there are
correct.
4 or 5 in the waiting queue. Let me just say that when we say things like, well, if you go in October and you do this, you can get out in February. One of the things we've done, and I know many of the states have done this, and this really is Nikki's leadership, because it used to be before there was no national training curriculum at all. And now with the Hadley training that was developed with the National Federation of Blind, National Association of Blind Merchants, along with Hadley. In fact, the guy that worked to help create the curriculum was a guy we plugged in from here in Colorado, who was our trainer. Wasn't an extraordinarily great hands-on trainer, frankly, and he knows the way I feel about it, but he was very, very good, very strong on the curriculum side. He's a curriculum developer. He knows that business. And so even that came from Colorado. And so what I say is be flexible, because some people, it might take 9 months. We don't know what your ability, if you've never sliced a tomato before, it might take you a little longer. On the other hand, if you come in and you're already a trained chef, then we're going to move you through. We're not going to put roadblocks in your way in Colorado. Nikki, you were going to.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing, that if you really want this, and this is something you want, you can move up fast. The more people that want it will move up fast, because there's training available. There's a lot more training. There's the Hadley training. There's going to be a lot more trainings online that we're going to do during this virus time. There's going to be always things that NAMA has a lot of trainings that we're going to make available to any of our guys. So there's always opportunity, and take the opportunity to say, you know what, now's a good time to do this for me. I'm home. Let me do this. Let me get involved in this. And you know what? And even if you get your license and then you want to do some other things, you can do that. You can expand your opportunities. It's a great opportunity for the young, for college kids coming out of college, even for older people. You know, and Mary, I'll tell you this, and Kevin, I'll tell you this story, that Harold Wenning, who Marion knows very well, and Kevin knows, 81 years old, fills vending machines at the Morgan Post Office in New York City, downtown New York. And he's still going to work every day during this virus. And they reached out to him. Gary and a couple of people reached out to him and said, Harold, what are you doing? He said, hey, my job is to fill those machines. He said, the post office is important. They're working. They're essential. And if this is the way I die, I die. Now, thank God he's not sick at all, but he's still going to work every day. And you got to just love people like that.
You know, Harold's a totally blind guy who's been in that program for must be 60 years. I would say this though, we don't want to oversell the program. It's a hard program. Especially in the beginning. You know, you're getting up at 4:30. Ask Jessica. You're getting up at 4:30 in the morning because you got to be the first one there. You know, when you're first in the program, you don't have. I mean, I'm lucky. I have lots and lots of employees because I have not only my Randolph Sheppard. I started 30 years ago, going in at 4:30 in the morning with a part-time employee to make coffee and muffins and pan up bacon and drop hot skillets on my toe and have the delivery people show up with 4 cases of lettuce in the middle of lunch hour that I didn't even need, and have machines break down, and go to Sam's on Sunday and do my bookkeeping Saturday. And you know, you work your 70 hours a week. It's not easy. And if you don't like to get your hands dirty, don't do this program. But if you don't mind getting your hands dirty for several years and then growing the entrepreneurial side of it so that you can make some pretty good money and be more in an office capacity, maybe the program for you.
And I want to echo that too for Kevin too. Is, you know, if you have a place with a grill and everything, and that's your first location, and you can't cook, and you have to depend on employees, don't take it, because if the employees don't show up, who's going to cook? And you can't tell your customers, sorry, I don't have any bacon and egg sandwiches. I don't have any burgers today. It is a very tough business. You deal with customers and you deal with employees, and that's not easy in this world today. And you deal with state workers and federal workers in a lot of our buildings. Another tough thing to do. And there's rules and regulations on the state level, and there's everything. But like Kevin said, if you like that and you can do that and you can get through the first, maybe your first location is not the greatest, maybe your second isn't. But when you get to your third, you can make money and you can and you paid your dues type of thing. You can really do well in it. And if that's the passion you have, like we have, then I would say get involved and do it. And if that's not what you want, then maybe you want to work for somebody. Maybe, you know what, maybe I don't want to own my own place, but maybe I'll go see if Brad needs some help, or maybe Jessica needs some help, or Kevin needs some help, or maybe Nikki needs some help in New Jersey or something. So, you know, you can always think of those things too. And then maybe you know what, I didn't think I liked it, but I worked for Kevin for a while, and now I really do like it. So think of those options too.
Can I throw something in on top of that too? It's also based on your commitment. Yes, you're getting up early and you're staying late and you're working weekends, but Jessica is a good example of somebody that came in and worked hard and put her time and effort into it. And her first location wasn't great, but her second one was. So it's all based on how much you put back into your commitment to the program, your commitment to your business and yourself. The better you are, the stronger you are, the more you learn, the better you grow, the better you're going to move up in the program, and you're going to get those bigger locations because you're proving that you can handle them. And that's what bid panels want to see. So it's mostly just based on you and how fast and how strong you're willing to be as an operator.
And we've got Victoria has another question. Victoria.
Hello. So as far as the like the Hadley online courses, now since we're all at home now, do you have to already be accepted in the program in order to like look at those and start taking those, or can you like do them now even if you're not, you know, into the program yet?
Well, if you want me to take that. Well, VR pays for it. So it's paid through VR. No, sorry.
No, go ahead, Nikki. Yeah, you're good, Nikki. Go ahead.
You're good, Nikki.
Okay, so it's paid through VR. So if you're an open VR case, you can ask your VR counselor to help pay for it, and while you're sitting home to do it. We use it as a test sometimes in New Jersey. If somebody says, well, I don't know if I want it, then what we do is have them go through the course. If they do well and like it, then they can move forward and start doing the training. But you have to see, like, if there's nobody waiting to work now, when's the next, you know, Kevin and Brad and Jessica could answer when the next training class is. But we want to make sure that people are moving along through the course. And like I said, so I would check with your VR counselor and see that if you're accepted in whatever the acceptance is to get into Randolph Sheppard in Colorado, I would see what that is. And if you can, I would see if you could start taking the course now. I like that.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm in Pennsylvania, and I'm in I'm I'm kind of doing like the evaluations, but I haven't got accepted because now everything's on hold. So, but I did like the O&M. I've already did the assistive technology stuff, but I just I didn't know if we could start looking at that stuff while we're just here waiting.
Well, I would definitely pursue it.
I'm going to guess if it's Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest agency to work with sometime. Be in touch with your NFB of Pennsylvania State President and see if they can help navigate you through that.
Okay.
The agency has to pay Hadley, which
Okay.
is why you probably can't just start without an agency approval. But if we can
Okay.
help in some way to facilitate that, we are happy to do that. To see
If you need any help, get in touch with me. We can help you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
contact Nikki because he has a good relationship with Hadley. Maybe we can help you at least get started. We don't want to put arbitrary bureaucratic roadblocks, particularly during this virus. We don't want anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, because I've done kind of like the bookkeeping like little course that they have on Hadley now, just for other people to take it because I own my own business now. So, but yeah, I just wanted to see if we could do that.
Good. One of the things
Great.
that we have in the program is that we'll get to is a thing called fair minimum return. And most states have this, and it's fair minimum return. What it means is some dollars are held back, essentially. Some dollars are held back by the agency so that if you have an operation and you're thrown out of work, or all your employees, all the federal employees in your building are laid off, or there's a government shutdown, the agency can actually give you some dollars to hold you through a period of time. And it's a good time to mention that because the state agencies and operators are dealing with across the country will be spending, I'm sure, all of the fair minimum return dollars that we would have. Operators in Colorado who have been thrown out of work due to the COVID-19 will get some basic income until we run out of money. So there is at least a little bit of a safety net that you can take advantage of. You should also know that the National Federation of the Blind has worked with Congress to try to get an appropriation. I don't think we were able to get it this time, but we are working. There will be another COVID bailout bill, C4, and Nikki and Terry Smith and Brad and a number of us in the National Federation of Blind plan to go to Congress and try to get a $35 million appropriation to help with that fair minimum return. So the NFB is always advocating. Nikki, Brad, do you have comments about any of that?
Yeah, I can tell you that we were very active with C3 to try to get this $35 million. We were not successful, but we think we have a very good shot of getting something in C4. But the good thing was that many of the things that we asked for, and we did send in over 10,000 letters on a website of federations throughout the country to the president, to your two senators, and to your congressman, telling what it meant that we're on the front lines feeding federal and state employees. And many of the things that we asked for were put into the small business provision so that we'll be able to collect unemployment as a self-employed person, that you can keep your staff on and that you'll get paid in form of a grant. So a lot of the things that we asked for, we got put into small business, even though it doesn't specify blind. But that's not going to stop the National Federation of Blind. We're really going to go for this $35 million to get money back in. There's never been any dollars appropriated to the Randolph Sheppard program since it became a law in 1936. And I think it's about time we get some money so we can expand a little bit. There'll be some opportunity. There'll be a lot of businesses that go out, restaurants, other things, coffee shops, whatever. And this is an opportunity for us to expand. And when we get open again, to really try to see if there's more opportunity for us.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Hope.
Hello.
Hey, there you are. Go ahead, Eileen.
Okay. So was wondering if somebody could talk a little bit about I'm going to go into training soon, and one of the things that I was not I didn't feel like I had the information before, but can somebody talk a little bit about what happens when you have a new operator, and so they have one of these places that are of course not going to make as much money. So can somebody talk about what the growth is, how you grow, and how you find out about new bids coming up and how some of that works?
Sure. The main thing you do is when you first get your location, folks around the advocacy and the merchants are tired of hearing me say this. I have this expression that I always say: your very first location is going to likely be in some drab federal building under the stairs in the basement, across the hall from the linen closet, under the leaky pipe in the ceiling, down the hall from the men's room.
I've seen those.
Yeah. Mary Ann has had some of those, and so have we all.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is put your whole heart and soul into growing that business. You're probably going to have some growth opportunity in that business. Probably, I hate to say it, but there's a good chance that the person you're taking it over from was lackluster, maybe didn't have the energy, imagination, maybe had worn out her welcome. And so you will immediately have some growth curve. Every location I ever took, it doesn't matter how dumpy it was. You know, can you put in lottery that they didn't have lottery? Did they do popcorn? Now you do popcorn. Are there different kinds of coffees? Can you change it to a kiosk location? There's a lot of things you can do. In terms of growing in the program, when a location comes up for, as we said earlier, bid, you then will know about that. You'll get a letter from the agency and they'll say, Eileen, Kevin Worley has now died. And we just found out he's been gone for 1.5 years. We just found out about it. And this location at this dining facility at the Air Force Academy is open. And here's how much it has made. And here's its circumstance. Here's where it is. Here's, you know, it has a grill, it has a fryer, he has 39 employees, yada, yada. And then you write your plan. And if you get accepted, then you move to that next location. That's really how it works.
Okay, thank you.
Pretty simple. Hard work, but pretty simple. And luck, there's luck. It's like any business or any job. You know, there's all kinds of people say, well, I took the safe route. I became a professor. Yeah, until that college shut down, right? There's a lot of luck in Randolph Sheppard. I'll be the first to admit that. Yep. If you go into the program and there's a lot of operators, they're not as qualified as you are, then you'll move quick. If you go into a program and there happens to be a brain trust, a Nikki and a Brad and Gary Nelson, then it might, you know, the dominoes have to fall the right way. There's no doubt about that. But the best way to make them fall the right way is to work your head off and your heart out and know the rules, know the law, do well on all your health inspections, and advocate and be involved in the National Federation of the Blind. Someone said to me once, well, how did you learn to contract outside the Randolph Sheppard program? How did you learn that you could operate? I have right now contracts in Georgia, in New York, and other ones here in Colorado. How'd you learn to do that? Simple, NFB. Everything I ever learned, I learned from people I met through the NFB. Jim Gashel taught me some business practices. Mark Maurer taught me some stuff. Guy named Joe Blackstone, who's not a member of ours, he's not a blind guy, but I would not have met him if I hadn't gone to a convention and met this millionaire who was willing to take me under his wing. Everything I know in Randolph Sheppard derives from my engagement in our organization, and that's a fact. Doesn't mean some people haven't been successful without our 3 letters, but your chances of being more successful is why Brad and Nikki and I are in it.
And I would also, again, echo that, what Kevin's saying. One thing Jim Gashel told me very early in my life was read the law, know the law. And it's a perfect time now to go over and read the law, because if you know what your rights are, it helps you advance in this program. A lot of state agency people don't even read the law. Know the law. And you know what? And Kevin's right. When I bid on a location, I didn't get it. I thought I deserved it. I filed for a grievance, and we went to court, and the National Federation of Blind supported me. And I didn't get the location, but I got a nominal sum of money from the state, and we settled. And because that was all because of National Federation of the Blind. If I tried to do it on my own, I would have gotten a dime, and I wouldn't get the location. So it's you know, we've grown. We continue to grow with these opportunities. Be involved, and you know, even if you don't have a merchants division, we're setting up merchant groups now in different states. Get involved on a local level. Join your chapter. Join your state, and then when you need help as a merchant, as an entrepreneur, they're going to help you. But when the federation needs help, you can be there to help you too, because you're not just a blind entrepreneur. you're part of things for, school and college, and how did you get there, and your kids, and all the rights that the National Federation of the Blind does. You need to be part of that, and I think that will help you be successful, both being an entrepreneur in Randolph Sheppard and in life.
Yeah. Sabrina, I think, is that right, Kev?
Yep.
Sabrina, we're going to unmute you. I think you had your hand raised.
Sabrina, it's not letting me unmute you, but I think you can.
Maybe you can unmute yourself. There you go.
Can you hear me?
There she is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so here's my question, because I'm an assistive technology trainer here in Michigan. And I actually am training a couple of people who have plans on going into the business enterprise program. And so my question is, where do I get guidance from on making sure that I'm training them in things they essentially and absolutely need to become a successful BEP vendor?
So I would do two things, and I'll have Nikki grab this a little bit, because you probably know the state agency people there now. I don't anymore. But I would say reach out to a couple of your current blind vendors and find out, what are they doing? Are they using kiosks? What kind of data transfer system tracking are they using? Are they using USA Technology? Reach out to a couple of your more successful blind vendors and get their advice, is what I would probably start doing. Nikki?
I would do the same, or, we also have a network of, you could reach out to Brad or myself or some of our emerging leaders or some of our board members. We would love to help you. Any help that you need, we can tell you. Kiosks is becoming very big, micro markets, software that you could use to tell what you've sold, like Nayax and Vagabond. There's a lot of different things that is accessible now too. So, if you'd like to be part of some of our training, we'd love to talk to you and tell you what you're doing, and we could help you out with things that are going on in the country.
And I appreciate that question a great deal, because if you can help give potential blind entrepreneurs that technology foundation that they're going to need, this is a changing, as you know, as a tech trainer, this is such a changing area that, nowadays, there aren't too many blind guys anymore that used to do it the way I did it, with a
cash box.
With a cardboard box. But you got to start somewhere, Nikki. And but now technology is the thing. So I appreciate you asking the question, because your blind vendors, your future, they're going to appreciate that kind of training that you took the time to research for them. I appreciate that.
Sabrina, do you know the director? Do you know the director there, Bill Robinson?
Say that again.
Do you know Bill Robinson, the director of the blind in Michigan?
I have met Bill Robinson. He's over the entire program.
Right.
I'm a blind assistant technology trainer myself, so that's why I asked the question, because I often get referrals, because I guess I'm kind of put in a position to help encourage and motivate others who are blind to even participate in being a professional. So I just want to make sure that I'm giving my blind brothers and sisters the right information so that they're successful in whatever it is they're trying to achieve.
Perfect.
Well, any help you need, let me know, and I can direct you to the right person. We'll get you all the help.
Nikki would be able to help you a lot, and be safe in Michigan. I know that's one of the epicenters right now, so stay inside and take care of yourself.
I've been inside.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, we went to Mary Ann. We lost the caller. Mary Ann, you had a comment?
Well, I have a question, but I also have a comment for her, as since she brought up the technology question, and as somebody who was in this business for a long time, I can appreciate it. One thing I will tell you is, learn the systems that the state will help get for your blind vendor clients. It will not help you to learn a system if that's the one the state will not put in place for a blind vendor. So make sure you're learning what our people are using there. Even if something else is way better, unless you think somebody has the pull, learn the things that they have in place. Because otherwise, you're going to be learning something really, really great, but your blind vendors aren't going to have access to it. That's just a piece of advice. But the other question, does Colorado have? I guess it's sort of like in New York. We used to have a tier system. You had dry stands, you had wet stands, cafeterias, full scale.
No,
it's all one big pool.
Correct.
Yes.
And if you're training in the thing, I mean,
for everything.
it's been a very long time since I had my hands on a grill anywhere.
You're
And
trained.
usually it was to scrub it clean. I'm assuming you train for everything?
We do. We train for everything here. We don't put anybody in a niche. Everybody has to train for everything. That doesn't mean once you get your location that you, so we have Gary Nelson, very, very successful in our program, does very well and is actually nationally regarded as a vending expert by blind people and the sighted in that industry. He has no desire to ever do anything in food service. He would run screaming into the night if I said, hey, how would you like this cafeteria? But I would run screaming into the night if I had his vending. I have no desire to fill vending machines or supervise vending machines being done. I want to be an administrator of food service and janitorial and ground maintenance service contracts. So once you get in your training, then you can specialize if you want.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Some states do. Missouri, for example, last I knew had a 1, a 2, and a 3 system. You could. Tennessee still has a level system. I think some states.
Yeah, when I was in New York, it had tiers as well.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else?
Let me add to that, Kevin, real quick.
Yep. Go ahead, Brad.
We tier you. We train you for all opportunities because you never know what opportunity is going to come up next. And if you're only training to do a vending route, well, there may be 3 cafeterias and 4 coffee shops that come open before a vending route, and then you're stuck without while 7 other people get in. So we want to make sure you're qualified to do anything that comes available, because the key is to get your foot in the door and get yourself going and get licensed. Then you can start moving up to what you want to do.
Yeah, when I came into the program, I was willing to take anything and go anywhere in Colorado. And I actually ended up, my first location was at a state hospital in Pueblo. I didn't want to live in Pueblo, but that was what was there, and I wanted to work. And it was a scary, scary location. If you've ever seen the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, you'll know where I worked. Nikki, I know, had some more comments in general that he wanted us to circle back to. Nikki, I think I heard you say you still wanted a few bites at this apple, if you will.
Well, I just wanted to tell some things that are going on, some good news and stuff. We, again, in the state of New Jersey, was awarded Fort Dix. We won an arbitration, and when the bid came out, we won that. Fort Knox, we are there again. We won the 5-year bid for that again. Fort Lee is coming. The arbitration was supposed to be heard, and then the Cantu challenged it. But there could be some very good news coming out of that. We did get a sub base down in Georgia, Kings Bay Submarine Base, where Bob Matuzek is. Wayne Dye, the National Federation of Blind, the Association of Blind Merchants, backed him when he was thrown out of the program. He is back. He is working, and he got a settlement due to us right before the arbitration.
Good.
We have been, as Kevin said, because of the National Federation of Blind, again, we have been working to have a great relationship now with the new hierarchy of GSA. They just came out with a new permit that we basically wrote for them. We're very excited about that. We are doing numerous calls with RSA and the new commissioner of RSA to get on track with some of the things that we're not very happy with. As I said, we're doing some micro market training. We're continuing to do training. As I said, John Perret and Terry Smith and myself have been working hard to get some work done. There will be some webinars coming out through NAMA, the National Restaurant Association, that we'll be able to take advantage of to talk about the new loans and unemployment and all that type of thing. And also, we did a call last week on telemed, which is going to be the hottest new thing going since this virus. And we're working with a company now on accessibility through your iPhone and your iPad to make sure it's accessible for the blind. We've worked a deal out which would be great because it's not only for us, but for our employees or for chapters to make money or for your state affiliate. It's a 24-hour-a-day telemed service, but no one's going to want to work in a hospital waiting on a doctor's office anymore. So we're just working on the accessibility of that, and that will be available. And one of the other things too that Kevin was very involved with too, that's been very successful, is a rebate program. For years, in every state, it's Commission of the Blind, Commission for the Blind, Bureau of the Blind, Blind Services, this, that. Everyone has a different name. And when they tried to look who we were and what blind entrepreneurs were around, we couldn't get numbers of what we sold as far as Pepsi and Coke and Frito-Lay and Mars and everything. And we put together a buying group now that's bringing back close to $3 million in rebates for blind entrepreneurs. So even if you have that small stand, if you buy right and buy the things that are rebatable, it could really add to your profit margin and to your work. And it shows the power that we have. Some purveyors are telling us that they sell more at Blast Conference than they do at a NAMA conference. We are a big force to reckon with, and we need to grow these opportunities. We are looking for, as Kevin said, he's been very successful in the private sector. I've done successful in the private sector. Harold Wilson's been very successful in the private sector. We want to expand these opportunities in the private sector. There's only one thing that a blind person can't do, and that's see, and everything else we can do. And it's not an easy business, as Kevin said, but it's a fun business. And if you have that passion and this is what you want to do, get in touch with Brad or Kevin or Jessica or myself. You know, we have a network throughout the country of great, successful blind entrepreneurs that we can set you up with. We have a great women's initiative. I've heard a lot of women on the call tonight. We have an accessibility one. We'd like to get the lady from Michigan involved with that with us. You know, we want to grow opportunities, and that's what we want to do, and we want to grow the federation. So there's a lot going on. And,
I would just wrap up a couple. Don't be afraid of the acronyms. We have a lot. RSA, Rehabilitation Services Administration; GSA, General Services Administration; NAMA, National Automatic Merchandising Association, which are folks who run micro markets and vending. These are trade associations or government agencies. And so you'll learn a lot of these terms that Brad and Nikki just toss off because they're professionals in the business for years, and they forget that some of us don't know what they are. But I think we've covered the waterfront. I hope that we've answered your questions and given you some perspective. If anyone else has maybe one or other thing, we'll deal with it. Otherwise, you know, we've got these Zoom calls all week. We're excited. Friday, what do we got Friday, Jess?
Philosophy Friday.
Philosophy Friday. President Riccobono.
Talking about what it really means to live the life you want. So we want people to come with their comments and questions. We've got a great yoga class coming up Wednesday with Julie Hill, who's a fantastic yoga instructor for blind people. She's taught at the Colorado Center for the Blind and taught lots of blind people, and it's really, really fantastic. We have tomorrow the on to help us know how to keep our kids busy and entertained during COVID-19. So we really do have a great week of calls. Also, for our friends in Colorado and Georgia, we're doing some excellent Newsline training on Wednesday and Friday of this week that we would encourage that you jump on. On Wednesday, we're going to be talking about how you can use the NFB Newsline service to stay healthy. So we're going to be looking at all kinds of resources around that. And on Friday, we're going to be having a philosophy discussion about an article in the Braille Monitor written by Gary Wonder that talks about whether or not we have to work harder as blind people to be successful.
Whoa. So there we are. And if you have ideas for these training networking sessions during this pandemic, be sure and let us know about them, and we will try our best to use you as our experts and find other experts, and we'll continue these networking calls. I have nothing else for this call unless anyone else does. I do want to thank Brad and Nikki and Jess so much for giving up their time. I know how busy they are. They're probably out mingling with people. Oh, wait, no, wait, they're not doing that. They're
no
not
handshaking.
No handshaking, Nikki and Brad.
Elbow bump.
Yeah, elbow bump.
I don't want to bump anybody's elbows if they're coughing into them.
We know that New Jersey is one of the epicenters, Nikki, so stay safe. You and Kathy, just absolutely stay safe. We love you guys, and I think that's all. Thank you very much, and live the life you want. Thanks, everybody.